Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Dubs, the Angry Black Conservative. I am your host, Dubs. I have been champing at the bit to get to this one. I'm going to jump right in. The riots. Um, if you could please stop calling them peaceful protests, I would really appreciate it. I was Ben Shapiro was talking to somebody, and I believe it was Joe Rogan he was talking to, and he was making a comment about how CNN is calling these things the protesters. They're saying that they're mostly peaceful, and Ben made what I thought was a really interesting comment about that, and he compared it to O.J. Simpson, and he said O.J. Simpson had a mostly peaceful day, the day that he killed his wife and the other guy Ron Brown, and I it was such an interesting comment, so simple and so intelligent. And there's a reason why Ben Shapiro is Ben Shapiro. Um, he's 100% right. It's not a peaceful protest. If it culminates, if the climax is in destruction of property, if you're hurting people physically, if you're preventing people from going about their daily lives, that's not a peaceful protest. It just isn't. And the narrative from the left about how they're peaceful protests and that it's only a few people, I just don't get it. And I listen to the CNNs of the world, and I listen to the MSNBCs of the world, and their approach to this is nothing short of disgusting. I think it's malfeasance. It's horrible. Any intelligent person who watches that footage, any intelligent person who looks at the damage done after after this mostly peaceful protest has done, destroying whatever it is that they've destroyed at that time. I just I it I got it it infuriates me. First of all, it's an insult to my intelligence, but it infuriates me. Absolutely infuriates me. These are dangerous, violent people. And the people who are not being violent while they're watching other people be violent and recording on their phones and laughing on their phones, they're complicit in the act. And I cannot understand how you can watch people destroy someone else's property and laugh and cheer them on. I, it it's such base behavior. I I you the what happened in Kenosha, and you get somebody who punches a 71-year-old man who's defending his business, and they laugh about it. I'll give you another one, a little the old microcosm. So there's a transgender lady. I always get the terms wrong, so if I've said it correctly, I truly do apologize. I mean no disrespect. But her name is Eden the Doll, and you can find her on Instagram and everything else and stuff like that. And she's out with a friend or two who apparently also are transgender, and they get mugged. The guys who mug them beat them up on the street, by the way, beat them up, steal their phones, and then laugh about it. The video footage is recorded by them. The guys who are beating them up are recording themselves attacking these other human beings. I don't care if they're transgender. I don't care if it's somebody of a race you don't like or religion you don't like. That is a human being that is being assaulted on the street. There are other people on the street that do nothing to defend them. Nothing. These nitwits who are doing the assault, they're laughing, cackling, running around, having a grand old time. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. You can watch the footage. It is horrendous. There's 3 human beings that have just been assaulted on the street. The attackers are having a blast doing it. No one steps in and helps. They call the police come, they know who the people are who did the assault. They get arrested. Then the DA of Los Angeles, because that's where it happens, decides not to press charges. That's the microcosm. Those are 3 human beings. With the McCloskeys, they're being threatened by God knows how many people who are saying that they're going to kill them, they're going to burn their house down, they're going to kill their dog. The McCloskeys are the ones who get arrested. They're the ones who had the police come to their house and claim their weapons. Now, fortunately for the McCloskeys, the governor stepped in and said, "No, you're not doing that." And I'm not going to going to revisit that case. But that's the microcosm. Now you've got these riots happening, because that's what they are. They're riots. They're not peaceful protests. They're not mostly peaceful protests. They're riots. The people come to the town. They burn stuff. They break stuff. They loot stuff. How that shows that you have a problem against, black violence. Well, there's black people committing violence against other black people and black-owned businesses. How is this justifiable? How is this intelligent behavior? And how is it that none of these people are getting arrested? How is it that you don't have governors and mayors calling out everybody on the police force, the National Guard, calling up the federal government, saying, "Mr. Trump, I hate your policies. I think you're a terrible human being. However, I need your assistance. Please come and help me. We're overwhelmed." How is that not happening? How is that not the behavior of the elected officials at that time? And then you're going to blame the police for not going in and stopping it, when these elected officials are doing nothing but throwing them under the bus. I warned about this for years, and I said that the summer of 2020 is going to be drenched in blood. We've lost 30 people now because of these riots that we know of. We got 19 police officers that have been injured in some way. 30 people dead, and counting, by the way. We've still got September and October before the November election. And they're just going to keep ratcheting it up. And then you're going to have a private citizen who defends themselves. They're the ones who are going to be arrested. They're the ones who are going to be charged. They're the ones who are going to have to possibly spend thousands of dollars defending themselves in court because they were defending their home or their family or their loved ones. Are you kidding me? I warned that these things were not going to stay contained to the inner city. They were going to start to expand out of the inner city. Chicago, they pulled up the bridges, for God's sakes, to contain these people. So they were in one area. The outskirts of Chicago stayed safe. What happens, however, when these things start to no longer be able to be contained and they start going into the residential areas? What happens at that point? Because that's starting to happen now. And you may have a certain type of person who lives in the inner city, but when you go to the suburbs and you go to the rural areas, that's a completely different person. And you're not going to go to that person's house with their family and I demand that you give up your home now. I demand that you leave these premises because they were black owned before or they were Native American owned before. You've got to give up your property. Well, first of all, which one owned it first? We don't know. All we know is right now the people who own it. And you think that they're just going to give that property up, put their stuff in a suitcase, and walk into the woods and set up a camp? No, they're going to defend their lives. They're going to defend their property. And that's when the bloodshod's going to get really bad, because when you go out to those areas, those people have no issue using a gun because they have no choice. There's not that many police out there. They're not going to wait. They're not going to call and wait the 57 minutes that it took the fire department to respond in Kenosha. They don't have that choice. They've got to defend themselves. And you're going to start seeing a lot of Antifa people, a lot of Black Lives Matter people falling to the ground because they're going to be getting shot. People are going to get killed. Large amounts of people are going to get killed by other citizens who are defending their lives and their property. That's just the case. This has to end, and it has to end now, and it has to end in the cities because that's where it's starting. And you don't have the Proud Boys doing it. You have a rally with the Proud Boys or with the Patriots or any other of those conservative groups, shall we say? You want to call them right wing? Well, I would argue that to people on the left, there is no such thing as a conservative. There's only right wingers. Okay, they're all white nationalists. They're all crazy people who pray to God and their gun and stuff like that and everything. But you're going to have that situation where the left wing is doing the damage. And the right wing is going to rise up and say, enough is enough. Now, I'm willing to talk to you, and I'm willing to possibly even compromise on certain things if that something is something that we can compromise on. But you're not going to take away my livelihood. You're not going to threaten my family. You're not going to threaten me. This is the line. Do not cross it. If you cross it, just like Dub said, I will cut you in half. I'll have a cheesesteak and a 7-Up, and I won't think twice about you. And that's the position that we're starting to be put into. What do you do in that situation? If I had one of those businesses, I would be sitting outside of my front door of my store with my shotgun, whose name is Luther, and me and Luther would just sit there and wait. You guys right there, you're coming up to my property. Here's the deal. You guys need to back off. This is how I support my family. If you destroy it, I can't support my family. I'll lose my home. Where will I go? So no, you're not going to take this away. So I'm giving you the warning right now, stay off my property. You come on my property, you come at me. I'm sorry, but I have to win this particular encounter. And then after that, Luther will do all my talking for me. It's just that simple. And that's the position that you're putting all these other citizens in when you do that nonsense. If you've seen the footage from Kenosha, where you have the burned down car dealership, you have the burned down church, you have the burned down the Boost Mobile that they raided. You know what I mean? The GameStop that was raided. All these buildings just being burned to the ground, and all the collateral damage that happens as a result of it. What if there's apartments on top of those buildings? What if that's the local place in town, the food store in town where most people get their food? What do you do? And then you got people walking around laughing, thinking it's funny. My favorite was the guy who's got the mattress. They're raiding a mattress store because the hotbed of politicism that's in the mattress store. No pun intended. That's the other one. I do not understand how any of this stuff is being spoken of in a positive way, or if it's being ignored. It's growing. It's growing. What happens when those two clash? When those, there's a difference between trying to punch somebody in the head and somebody being shot in the head. There's a huge difference, and that's the position that you're putting people into when this type of activity is happening. This is not funny. This is very serious. And the fact that you have elected officials who are doing nothing to stop it. Well, no, we've got to pull back. We've got to let them get it out of their system. No, no, we don't. No, we don't. You have a 4-year-old who's in his bedroom and he's trashing his bedroom. First of all, he can hurt himself. Secondly, he could damage the house because if he pulls that cord or has a short and it blows the wiring in the house and the house burns down, well, we didn't know it was going to happen. Yeah, but the possibility was there that it could happen. So you stop it. You know, you let that 4-year-old come to the conclusion that when he gets so angry that he can't express himself in any way other than violence, it's okay to express himself in violence? What lesson are you teaching that kid? And why would you be shocked when that kid is 15 years old and something doesn't go his way? And now he's been in the weight room and he weighs 200 pounds and he's really able to hurt somebody and he beats up his girlfriend, throws her out. Well, we told him that, if you have to act out, go ahead and act out for a few minutes and then you get it out of your system. No, that's not what we do. That's not what we do. No, you have to put an end to that. There's a fire. At that point, as Joe Rogan said on his podcast, we have a fire. The first thing that we do when there's a fire is we put the fire out. Then we send in the fire marshal and we send in the specialist to figure out why that fire started. What are we going to do to prevent that fire in the future? We don't do that while the house is burning. No, we put the house out. We don't let the fire spread to other homes so it continues to do more damage. And that's what needs to happen with these riots. Stop calling them peaceful protests. They're not peaceful. They're not peaceful. So I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and he shall remain nameless out of respect for him, but he actually made the horrible decision to compare this to the Tea Party from a few years ago and the Tea Party protests and the Tea Party people themselves and the people who our President Obama was calling teabaggers, which I thought was disgusting. But hey, he's an American citizen and he's able to say whatever he wants to say. So if that's the way he wanted to call these people, I may find it to be detestable, but go ahead and call them that. Totally cool with it. But how many riots did we have with the Tea Party? How much damage was done by the Tea Party? And when the Tea Party was having their peaceful protest and they went to a park, when they left, it was an amazing thing because the park was left in better shape than when they came. They cleaned up after themselves. We didn't even have the city's sanitation department go out there and clean up after them. The Tea Party people cleaned up after themselves. And yet this guy who I'm talking to, and let's call him Joey Blomitz, right? So I'm talking to Joey Blomitz, and he's telling me about how the Tea Party, they had peaceful protests, and look at the damage they did. Please find me the damage that was done by the Tea Party. Because I've looked, I can't find any. Meanwhile, you've got Antifa, you've got anarchists, you've got Black Lives Matter, and all their friends and so forth, and they're burning down cities, and people are being hurt, and people are being killed. I can't find the comparison. Well, this is what I heard on MSN. Well, forget what you heard on MSNBC, and here's the deal. For any of you guys out there who think, well, you got this situation where you're listening to Fox. That's what you do, Dubs. You listen to Fox. No, time and time again, I hear that. You're just listening to Fox. No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I listen to Fox the least. I actually listen to MSN and CNN and CNBC. I listen to One America. I listen to the Blaze. I try to, and I also have all the YouTube channels. I try to get as much information as I possibly can, and then I also look for the footage, and I don't just look for the 30 seconds. I want to find if I can find a 30-minute clip of something that they're talking about that lasted 5 seconds, I'm going to watch that 30-minute clip because I want to see what went down. I want to see what preceded it, what was the instigation, what started it, who was there, who wasn't there. Was the wind blowing too fast? Did a duck fly in that guy's face before he made this? I want to know everything I possibly can before I make a decision because I want that decision that I'm making to be as informed as I possibly can. And then after I make that decision, I still do follow up because I want to make sure that the decision I made, the conclusion that I came to, is going to bear out historically. And right now, historically, the Black Lives Matter, the anarchists, the Antifa, those are the guys that are the enemies. You hear about a Proud Boys rally, and I'm not going to minimize this, but the most you'll hear about at a Proud Boys rally is that somebody got punched in the face. But I don't have a city burning down. I don't have the fire department being deployed. I don't have ambulances that can't get to the area where the people are hurt because the protesters aren't letting them get there. I don't have the Proud Boys closing down streets and preventing citizens from going about their day. I don't have the Proud Boys closing down a city to the extent where they've got to pull up the bridges to prevent people from leaving a certain area. I just don't have it. I just don't have it. And I hate the expression, the whole moral equivalence, but I don't know. Right now, I think that the right, if you will, uh, is nowhere near as bad as the left because we've got something like $600 million worth of damage that's been done by these peaceful protests so far. There's no calculation on how much damage has been done by Proud Boys and their guys because it's not there. You got them burning down police buildings, attacking federal buildings, cutting the brakes of police cars. I haven't had that happening with the Proud Boys. I just haven't had it happening. So I mean, again, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong and show me. But these riots need to end, and they need to end now. And I'm going to say one last thing on this, and I'm gonna hop out of this. To my white brothers and sisters, you guys are more than half the problem. I do not need you guys coming into the area telling the black community how we have been destroyed by white people. I do not need white people telling me how sorry they are for institutional racism, which, by the way, doesn't exist in 2020, um, and explaining to me how they know how terrible it's been for me as a black man in this country and they want to do things to help me. You can help me by staying out of my way. You can help me by letting me live my life. I do not need your sympathy. I don't need your pity. I don't need your assistance in helping me get over this racism because the fact of the matter is the worst racism that I have ever encountered in my life, the worst racism that I have ever had to fight against in my life has not come from white people. It has come from black people. Black people are fully capable of destroying ourselves without your help. Thank you very much. Stop going to the protests. Stop going and helping with the riots, and stop interjecting when there's a police officer who's trying to who's in an interaction with another black man. Please stop doing that. You're making the situation worse, and frankly, you're an absolute fool. And you may have the best intentions, but, and I believe it, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Your good intentions are getting people killed. Your good intentions are destroying black lives, because the majority of businesses that are being hurt out there in these black communities are owned by black people. And so now that you've helped the black man by helping along with this riot that black people were burning stuff up on, now there's a black person who cannot support themselves, cannot support their family. Now they're homeless, and now they get to go on the government dole. So knock it off. You're not helping. You're misguided. You've bought into an ideology that has now become a religion, and now you are fervent believers in it. Please don't help. Don't help. Just don't help. And to my black brothers and sisters, can we please stop hurting each other? These riots don't do anything. You're showing your own ignorance. If you rioted because of because of Jacob Black, if you rioted because of Freddie Gray, if you rioted because of Trayvon Martin or any of these other guys and stuff like that, all you did was damage black people that much further. It's just not intelligent. It's just not a good thing to do. It's not helping the cause. What you're doing is you're putting money in the pockets of other people. It's just a stupid behavior. Please stop. So that's where I'm going to end this. I want to thank you guys for listening. Thanks for playing along. I will see you soon.